So I hate to bring up the Tyla shit, but it's just becoming apparent to me that y'all don't actually care about what's being said. Y'all just want to argue with black people. We already knew that. By y'all, I mean South Africans. This morning I got a comment. I think the comment's deleted now because I tried to find it. But basically the comment was like listing a bunch of celebrities who are literally mixed. Just black and white. Like nothing obscure, just black and white. Mariah Carey was on the list. Barack Obama was on the list. I can't remember. I think Zendaya might have been on it. A bunch of other people. And they were, and the comment was like, none of these people are black. They're all colored. So she is black. And y'all just wanted to argue? Y'all just don't like being black. We knew that, but y'all just don't like black people, which we also knew that part. Because this whole time I've been saying like, okay, I personally don't have a problem with somebody saying I'm not black, I'm this. Because if that, I'm sure that happens. Like there are people in America that happens to. There's plenty of people who actually are not black, who happen to be something else that we don't see a lot of, or maybe that you personally have not seen before in person or in video, and you mistake them as black. They're like, oh, I'm not black, I'm this. That's totally normal. And I've always said from the moment the Breakfast Club situation happened, I've always said this is an easily solvable problem. This is an easy answer. It was actually the biggest softball, because no one's looking to you to do deep education. They're just asking you, what are you? In South Africa, I'm what we call colored. But over here, I've noticed that y'all just call that like mixed, biracial, multiracial. So you can just call me mixed, multiracial, whatever works. Cool. And from what I've gathered from the onslaught of hateful comments about black people is that we are the problem because we want somebody to be black who's not black. But if your comparison is black people, then we're right. She would be black. Personally, me, I would not look directly at her and say that that's a black person. I would think she's just mixed with something else. But my first thought would not be black. Personally, me. That's why I was always just like, yeah, I would be a little thrown off, but I would have assumed the question would come up because you are very obviously trying to market this person to a black audience. The only American feature on this album was Gunna, a black artist. That was obvious, and I would assume that anybody on your team should be prepared to answer that question because it's going to come up. Especially since it had already kind of been a conversation online, which is why it came up, which is why they asked to not have those questions asked. And again, like I said, her team is her fucking problem, because when you asked me to not ask them questions and Charlamagne told you I don't give a fuck what you talking about, that's actually the first question I'm finna ask, bitch. You should have got up and left, or you should have never came. Fuck, get up and left, you should have never came. Y'all played her. But if y'all are non-American and you're looking at Barack Obama and you're saying that's a colored person, then when you come to America, you would be considered black. Maybe that person was misinformed. They also included Trevor Noah, who in America would also be considered black. I just don't think it was that big of a deal. Like, you can call yourself whatever you want to. I don't personally care. But if you're going to compare this person to people who have opened their mouth and said they are black, then maybe you shouldn't be arguing so bad. I don't know.
It does not surprise me that Tyla's album flopped, because who do you think that you are coming to America and thinking you don't have to go through black women to get popping? You think that you could just go to Americans and you could just go to like white Americans and sell your album? Because your fans really ruined that black American audience for you. You gonna have to go through black women to get popping. I don't understand. Nobody's bigger than the program. That's how you get popping in America if you're a black artist. Duh, like everybody knows that. You have to go through black women, and then when black women sign off and we are loving it, everything is good, then everybody else gonna like you too. But you can't bypass us. Why would they even know about you if you didn't even come through black women? Black American women, why would they know about you? Yeah, just stick to South Africa. Just stick to, Europe. Just be over there. I don't even know why you want American fans anyway. The way y'all talk about it, you should have just, came over here and said, I know in America, I am black. In South Africa, I am colored. And I know there's a history, about colored in America. And so I respect black American people. And I'll be black in America. But you wanted to, pop hard. Like you had it like that. And you didn't. What they say she sold? Like 7,000 units or something crazy? Oh my God. Not even double digits, child.
so funny how y'all are calling Americans entitled because we're asking for.
The problem here is that we are trying to have an educated and intellectual conversation with a country whose schools are filled with more bullets than books. So education has never been your priority, and hence why you're spewing so much garbage that you're not even trying to learn anything from anyone. I want to hold your hand when I tell you this. America is not the golden standard for the world. The expectation is not that everything that is American is perfect. I know movies and music videos have lied to us, and yes, in Africa, some of us may have believed that America was a great country until we allowed ourselves to interact with you guys on the internet, and then we realized, spaza shop that thing. Now, let me hold your hand once again and explain something to you. If your identity requires a hyphen in order for you to have an identity, let me give you an example. African American, Black American. I would think that you would then sit down and listen to the people whose identities you have hyphenated together to get your identity. Because if you are calling yourself an African American, I would think that you would want to then listen to Africans when they are teaching you about the culture that you only tap into during holidays when you are going to the motherland to be in touch with your roots. We don't have to step in and out during holiday periods within our cultures and our identities because we live them on a daily basis. You need to step and learn from us what Africanacity is, what being an African is. You can't even point out Africa in a map. Some of you in America, majority of you, still think we roam around with lions. Majority of you can't even identify and distinguish between African as a continent and countries in Africa. But here y'all are, trying to fight someone who's clearly telling you that in their country, there is a denomination of people called colored people. As a matter of fact, a typical American person, if they were to arrive in South Africa, we would spot them as a colored person until they told us otherwise. And when they do tell us otherwise, do you know what's the difference between my country and yours? We would respect your identity. But nay, you will not do that because you can't even respect the identities of Native Americans. You can't even respect the identities of Americans in your own country. There are trans people whose rights you're trying to take away the identities of women. You're trying to anything and everything that seems to be a little bit of a threat and that does not align with your movie-filled and movie-thrilled world, you'll want to attack. Tyla went to America and became successful. She's not there to take anyone's bread or butter. This is the same thing you're doing with Mexicans by trying to strip them of their power, trying to strip them of their identity and make them identify something that you want. Tyla is colored in South Africa. What you should have done as a person who's hyphenating their identity is then sit down and ask yourself, what are colored people? Where do I fit in when it comes to this? And go and learn about colored people in South Africa. South Africa, which is in Africa, the Africa that you fought for to hyphenate and identify as. But when it comes to us informing you and educating you about our continent, you then want to tell us that we should respect you. Respect you as what? You went and called yourself Shaniqua, Laniqua, and Eloise and thought you were being African while you were mocking us without even understanding who we are. Your lineage is and your bloodline is African. And the only people who can call that country America Americans are the endangered Indians that are from there, that you guys have displaced. Americans, all you are doing is that you are colonized and now you are sub-colonizers. You are wanting to replicate the same oppression that white people did unto you to anyone else who identifies as anything that's different. Congratulations, you are Black. But I'm assuming that your Blackness also stems from the motherland that you tap into when you feel like it. And if that is the case, maybe you should sit down, listen, and let's explain to you what Blackness is actually in Africa. We are tired of this conversation. We are over it. And quite honestly, Tyla, step on the next some more, my baby. Because somehow they think you were only successful when you arrived in America. You were not. And even if they were to kick you out of America, you'd still be successful here in Africa. And that is our conversation, and that is the end. If your identity requires you to hyphenate, listen to the two parties that you've hyphenated with. And so far, there's nothing about you that you can identify without Africa or Americans. And you are neither. Without the two parties. Listen to the two. Then come back to us. And Tyla is African. When she's teaching you something, learn. But she's from the roots that you only tap into when you feel like it.
If you're trying to pop overseas, I need you to use Tyla as a perfect example of what not to do.
when it comes to lacking cultural competency when it comes to Black Americans. We are the blueprint over here. We make shit pop when it comes to R&B, hip hop, music, period. You do not have crossover with Black Americans, you do not have success. So sorry. And the people are going to say, oh, well, you know, people like Tyla and, you know, Burna Boy and Davida, like, these people were famous before. Were they famous in their countries? Yes. Were they international superstars until they got the Black American stamp of approval? Absolutely not. And I'm not arguing with y'all. That's why it's always hyper frustrating when Black people from other countries and diasporas try to have diaspora wars with Black Americans about who we are and how we're just mad because we don't understand where we come from. The problem is y'all don't truly understand where you come from. Because, baby, the only difference between me and you is where the boat got dropped off. And because Black Americans, we understand our history and our countries, I feel like far more deep than a lot of y'all understand the history of what it is to be Black in your own home countries. Y'all associate it with the fact that just because we're not directly linked to our ancestors in Africa anymore, that we don't have culture and we don't understand. The whole color thing with Tyla was an easy, quick explanation. She fucked it up by dragging it out, trying to make it seem like being called Black was a slur. If it's a slur in your country, then you explain that, right? Because just like, quote unquote, being called Black in South Africa is wrong, being called colored here is horrific. And that could have been an easy exchange of cultural differences, an easy exchange, an educated debate. But no, instead, you wanted to be high and mighty about people wanting to call you Black. Because educationally, when you're called colored in South Africa, all that means is that you're a mutt, right? Like, you're just a hodgepodge of things. So quite literally, you don't even know everything that you're mixed with, hence why they call you colored. Because you have the appearance of a Black person, but you're not fully Black. That apartheid shit, okay? The tier system. And anything to basically keep your distance from being a Black person. That is why Black Americans will not fuck with her. Because, bitch, it wasn't that deep. You made it deep. You made it weird. When you're quite literally over here trying to sell music to us. Who the fuck you think listening to that? Oh, you thought white Americans was gonna bump your shit? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Y'all will learn. Y'all will learn one day. Don't shit move over here if Black people ain't messing with it. Try again next time.
Tyla was never my demographic, so I was never buying her albums anyway. But I do find it funny that while that whole kerfuffle a couple years ago happened when she was like, I'm not Black, I'm colored. And we're like, we're definitely gonna call you colored because that's got a weird history in America. And people were like, leave Tyla alone. And then Black Americans did. Fast forward to 2025 and she dropped an album that barely anybody bought. And somehow that's Black Americans' fault. Weird. Juxtapose that to us this week finding out that Black Scottish people exist. Theoretically, we should know this because there are Black people all across the world, but seeing it in real time, like a real Black Scottish person, we were flooding their comments with love and admiration, and they were making videos like, I've never felt more love than I felt from Black Americans this week. This is insane. And so it just goes to show that it was never about American exceptionalism because Black people go where we're accepted. If South Africans, Tyla specifically, does not want to associate herself with being Black, that is fine. That's completely fine. But when Black people take a step back and don't give our energy to something, and then that is put on display by the lack of sales, there's a lot of comments saying that, oh my God, Black Americans think they're the center of the universe. No, not at all. But you did look to us for validation because you didn't ask, why didn't Tyla sell so many albums? You asked, why didn't Black Americans buy her album? Interesting. Why didn't South Americans buy her album? Why didn't continental Africans buy her album? You see what I mean? So you don't want to hear from Black Americans until you insert this in a conversation. Meanwhile, Black Scottish people have nothing to do with America. We're just loving it. And when we called them Black Scottish people, they didn't take offense because they're like, yeah, I'm Black and I'm Scottish. do you see? So it's not about American exceptionalism. It's just about us gravitating to the people that want us around. Tyla made it clear she did not want us around. She may want our money, but she didn't want to be associated with us. And that's fine. So when we pull back, know this is what you asked for. And that's it, that's all. The weird conversations happening online as if she didn't bring this on herself. Meanwhile, I'm gonna go back to Black Scottish TikTok because it's great. I could listen to them all day because something about a Scottish accent and an Irish accent, whew, the vapors. I don't know what it is. I've always loved both those accents since I was young. And now I get to experience it all the time. So I'm gonna spend my Friday doing that. Okay, all right. You guys have a good one.
And here is what many people don't understand. When Tyla says she's colored in South Africa, she's talking about a mixed race identity under apartheid classifications. In South Africa, colored was a legally enforced category used to divide black people, mixed people, and white people. But in America, that word colored is a deep wound. It takes us straight back to Jim Crow, when black people were segregated into colored only bathrooms, schools, boxes, and water fountains. That word carries generations of trauma, racism, and humiliation. So when Black Americans hear someone proudly claiming I'm colored, not black, it doesn't sound like culture. It sounds like rejection. It sounds like someone benefiting from black music, black culture, black audiences, but then refuses to stand in the same struggle. And that's why the backlash is so strong, because words don't exist in vacuum. In South Africa, colored means one thing, but in America, it feels like another pain reminder of the past. And when that comes from an artist who is eating off black American culture, yeah, people are going to speak up. So I do not blame the black Americans for getting upset, and I don't understand why the South Africans and Tyler fans are coming and dragging black Americans for getting upset. Now that's all from me today. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching this video. Please do well to like this video, drop your thoughts in the comments, and of course subscribe to support the channel. I will see you in the next one. Bye.